don't leave yet, to the Commissioner Russell, why is it that you're only talking, and the same thing happens when we're talking about the underline. Why is it you only talk about areas that you care about and not the rest of the city may care about? Maybe the river walk is something that we care about. We want to have a conversation about coastal people being able to walk by waterways and recreate and do what they do. Why is it that you mention specific parts, not even all the parts, specific parts of waterfront property?
Yep. So what we're working on here it's called greenway legislation.
I know what it's called.
And the Miami River Commission already has its greenway established. And so this meets the Miami River Greenway. They already have their own, the Miami River Commission has created their own initiative rules master plan under a greenway that's already established that ends at the mouth of the river. So this would actually complete what they've already started. So it's not meant to ignore the river, it's meant to complement the river.
Okay, madam.
Go ahead.
The Miami River Commission has no legislative authority whatsoever. They can come up with plans. We're the ones that pass legislation. Why can't you amend this to also include riverfront property or even adopt the Miami River Commission's, what they're recommending? Because you know they have no authority, right, to pass anything. They can't say, hey, we recommend you build this along, the Miami River, and all of a sudden it's going to happen, right? Only this commission can do this.
Yeah.
Can do that. So the question becomes, why only that area and why not? And again, it comes to the very important point. Why don't we go, and includes your district, Madam Chairwoman, why don't we include areas that are not where the wealthy people live?
So this legislation does actually include beyond downtown, and it actually includes parts of Coconut Grove, parts
The wealthy people?
No, I'm sorry, parts of District 5 as well. This legislation actually affects the northern area. The part that I'm concentrating on is the part that I serve, and it's taken many years to get it this far. That's the part I'm advocating for. I wouldn't dream to advocate in your districts what you should do with your shoreline.
No, but why not?
So, but because that I would like to defer to the commissioners to expand this legislation beyond, amend it later, but to create one comprehensive piece will take us years to do, because there's different pieces of the river and the bay that have very different geographies, demographics, needs, access needs. Some want kayak launches, some would never want a kayak launch. And so this is the part I know that I have consensus on right now for this piece.
Can you tell me what part it is then?
Yes.
Okay.
And here's where the administration, maybe the planning department. Is anyone from the planning department?
Well, you're advocating for it, so it's not the
Absolutely, but there's pieces throughout. Where it doesn't apply is if there's single family home on the water, right? So it doesn't apply to them. But it does apply to private and public property on the water, anything above the intensity of single family home.
Well, educate me, Zeri, maybe you can educate me. Tell me what, specifically, in layman's terms, what areas, where does it apply?
Commissioner, are you asking about the Bay Walk or River Walk?
I'm asking what Commissioner Russell is proposing.
My ordinance.
This is the Bay Walk.
Yeah, Bay Walk, yes, of course.
So it's along the Biscayne Bay.
From where to where?
I believe it's from the mouth of the river,
Okay.
all the way to the north boundary of the city limits.
All along Biscayne Bay, all the bayfront property?
Yes.
Okay. And?
To the northern boundary of the city. So there are missing
To 70,
segments.
to 70 to 82nd, whatever.
I think it's 82nd, 87th.
87th?
Northeast
From the
87th.
mouth to 87th, okay,
Yeah.
and where else?
That's what it is, the Bay.
That's all it is?
Yeah.
So it's basically Biscayne Boulevard.
Well, on the shoreline, east of Biscayne Boulevard.
West
East
of Biscayne Boulevard.
No, east.
No, I'm sorry, east of Biscayne Boulevard.
Yes, sir.
Yes, just moving up.
Moving all the way to the city boundary on
The
the
city
northeast
boundary.
87th.
And how many feet in width is it?
Miami 21 has a guideline as to the width.
Give me a number,
If
10
I'm not
feet,
mis-
12 feet, 15 feet?
No, it's more than that.
Okay, how
I
much?
think it's the 25 feet.
25 feet.
Yeah.
So 25 feet of bayfront land
Lane?
dedicated to a bay walk.
Yes.
Okay, how much of that's already developed? How much bay walk do we already have between the mouth of the river and 87th Street?
We do have a map, and we're working with a
Just tell me a
consultant.
number. Do we have 10% of it, 20%, 30%?
You mean the missing segments?
I told you in layman terms.
Okay, in the missing segments
Yes,
has been identified. If I'm not mistaken, there could be about between 6 to 10 properties
Correct.
missing.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay.
where are they?
Where the baywalk has not been constructed yet.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do is reach out to the property owners and find a way that we can go into some kind of joint development agreement by them giving us easements.
But I'm not understanding, I'm trying to understand.
Yeah.
You have not reached out to the property owners. You say how many?
No, we have a consultant reaching out to them.
Okay, all right. How many feet are we talking about in all those 6 properties? You said 6 properties?
Yeah, it's subject to their property limits.
It's 25 feet.
Inland.
And hold on. But this bayfront could be 100 feet, that's 120,
Yeah.
that's 180,
Yeah.
that's 40. What's the total?
Oh, Commissioner, I need to check the record to
Well,
give you an
you should
exact
know that,
number.
right? Because this legislation only proposes a baywalk for a specific area of Miami, an area that no matter who the district commissioner is, it's part of all Miami. That's
Yeah.
important to us, right? So I want to know why that piece of property or those pieces of property are more important than the riverfront and Coconut Grove, for example, you represent also. And I want to know what properties you're talking about with this legislation. You're talking about 6 properties, you said?
I said between 6 to 10 properties, if I'm not mistaken.
I want a specific number before I vote on this.
Okay.
I want to know how many feet of shoreline you're including. And I want to know what properties you're talking about.
Okay, we can get
Not
you that
6 to 10.
report.
Okay?
We can get you that report. But keep in mind there are some of these properties that you will not be able to develop into a baywalk because of the existing features. Either they have their building footprint already situated on those areas.
I'm just getting confused here.
Right, well.
And it's important for me to clarify this.
I understand, but here's my issue.
I'm within 10 minutes.
We have kicked this can for several weeks now. I want you to have a level of comfort, but these are the questions that should be properly asked with staff so that we're ready, because if what we need to do is make some change, we had it this, we're gonna put it to this, we're gonna put it to this, we're gonna put it to this. This is what it is, this is what it was proposed. So either we're gonna change it or we're not gonna change it. I want you to feel comfortable, but let's get it all out now.
Well, that's what I'm
so
trying
that
to do.
we can-
And the way we do it is publicly because, yeah, we can have a whole bunch of backroom meetings.
No, I'm not
But we're not
suggesting
doing backroom meetings.
No, I'm.
This is an important debate, so
I'm not suggesting backroom meetings, but this kind of information that you're asking, and the staff doesn't have it readily at hand.
But why doesn't the staff have it readily at hand? It's a proposed legislation.
You have to
They
ask
should
the
know
manager
how
about
many
that.
feet they're doing and what's feasible, what's not feasible, what can be done, what cannot be done. And it's a simple question that should be answered. You should have it on top of your head.
No.
No? Okay.
We do have a report. We can forward the report to you, Commissioner.
Don't forward the reports. You should know. If this legislation has been kicked down the road, as you say, and he's been talking about it for, he said the other day, 7 years, somebody should know. It's 280 feet of land between the mouth of the river and 87th Street.
If you give me a few minutes, I'll pull it up and
I
give
want
to
to
you.
know. Please, thank you.
Madam Chair, the 2 members of the planning department that had all that information have left the city recently. So they had been working on this, all the missing pieces mapped, linear feet, everything, how many properties, who the property owners are.
We are going to do what is in the best interest.
We can get access to that information.
But beyond that, I'd like to address the commissioner's main question about why there and not other places. So the Baywalk ordinance does affect the entire city, including the river. And we're not amending that. That has its requirements, that's in the charter, that tells people when they have to give their piece. This is an amendment to our parks, the section of our code, not the zoning code, but the park section, allowing for a greenway along the waters, the bay, not the river part, but the Baywalk part, so that we can finish those missing pieces sooner. That's my goal. And I know that I can negotiate with those stakeholders, and we can, but this doesn't expend money, create any of those rules of how much and where and what. It just gives us the framework through which we can finish it. Right now, we can't. Right now, it took us 2 years to negotiate one piece with the Presbyterian Church. And the goal here is that we can now complete it. But it doesn't amend the Baywalk ordinance, which already exists for the entire river and does have a requirement for everybody to do their part. We just don't know when it's allowed to happen.
Commissioner Reyes? City Clerk, can you put the 5-minute timer on, please?
Why every time I'm gonna talk, you
No,
put
it's
me
not-
on the clock?
Well, okay,
You have
wait, let
anything
me,
on me?
no, let me put it,
Commissioner Diaz de la
no,
Portilla.
no, I'm gonna put it on him as well. I'm gonna put it on
He
everybody.
gave us the Constitution.
I'm gonna put,
The Constitution is coming now.
Okay, and I mean, I don't know, you don't like me?
I adore you.
Me too.
I adore you.
I adore you too.
Listen.
No, what I'm saying is, this discussion, and I agree that everything that should be come out in the open, because I don't think that there is 21 feet or anything like that. It's a lot narrower. And that is one of my objections to get this, be a part of our parks. I mean, be declared a park. Because if we do that, what we are doing, and I believe that there's an ulterior motive here, that it is to include this as part of the not net loss that it is required when you lose any part of the parks. And I think that this is a way for Mr. Russell to justify his vote. and that's why I am proposing this amendment, that no part.
oh wait, we haven't heard your amendment yet.
No,
'Cause
no,
we-
but I did propose
no,
it,
let
and it
me-
was not
Right,
accepted.
you're gonna be allowed to propose your amendment. Where are we with the amendment that Commissioner Carollo put forward? Is that gone? That's gone.
To mandate a seawall, I can't agree to it,
So,
but to mitigate mangroves, I absolutely could agree.
Okay, Commissioner. So no seawall, yes, you can have the,
I'm gonna put my second back right now.
you're gonna pull your
Yeah,
second.
I'm gonna put my second back.
So
I gotta
we-
think about this.
Okay, so now, Mr. City Clerk,
I need to be assured that I'm not gonna end up in a few years with mangroves there.
okay,
And then when people can't see the water from the park, they'll be mentioning my name along with a few others.
okay. So Mr. City Clerk, Vice Chair has pulled his second, so we have a first. Will anybody else second?
Just a moment.
I feel deja vu.
Mr. Manager, could you bring back an item regarding Morningside Park master plan? We've already voted on it, but Commissioner Carollo has brought up serious concerns about mangroves. I'd like it addressed. And so a properly noticed item, a discussion item for the next City Commission meeting on Morningside Park master plan with regard to shoreline.
Want to do it the next meeting?
Yes, please. And because these are separate issues, really. They're not related to
They
each
are.
other.
So
Well-
right now,
We want, there's
We-
no second. We want,
that's what I'm about to say. There's no second, so am I gonna?
I
can
may want a second.
No,
I may want a second.
You may-
but-
okay.
But I need to ask something.
go ahead.
I want to link everything. I want to link it all.
Today?
Yeah.
I don't think we rightfully can.
With amendments, we can. Absolutely, we can.
Can we?
Require a
Madam
seawall
S-
at Morningside. We can require a seawall at Morningside. Okay, we can.
Okay,
If-
so
if-
that
If he
item,
says the mouth of the river to 87th Street,
Let's.
that's the seawall.
Let me get a legal opinion here. Madam City Attorney, can we link all of the items today in this legislation?
so the Morningside Park item was done already, like what, a week or two ago?
A commission meeting or two
Right,
ago?
so you would essentially be bringing up a pocket item to,
No, it's an amendment. It's an amendment to an area that Mr. Desiri has described as a bay walk between the mouth of the river and 87th Street. Inside the mouth of the river and 87th Street is the seawall or the shoreline in Morningside Park. So why, it's germane to what we're talking about. It's germane to what we're talking, we can reverse it, we can do something 2 weeks ago and do something else today. I don't know if you agree with that.
then I don't remember when was the last item brought up. Does anybody remember when Morningside came up? Because then it would have to be a motion to reconsider, And that's
No.
normally done at the same, at the next meeting.
If this legislation deals with seawall, bay walk in front of Biscayne Bay, between the mouth of the river and 87th Street, we can address every piece of land that's under our jurisdiction between the mouth of the river and 87th Street, period.
I don't have a map. You would have to
No, but I
ask
know
them.
you're
I
geographically
don't-
challenged, I know, so is my mom, by the way.
I'm geographically challenged.
But is, Mr. Zeri, is that correct? Is Morningside Park within these boundaries that you described?
Commissioner, with all due respect, Morningside is within the city of Miami, and it lies between the mouth of the river and the city boundary on the northeast.
Yes.
So obviously it lies within the
Right, so that's the bay,
jurisdictional limit.
that's what a bay walk is, right?
Yeah,
The
so-
bay walk is a walk by the bay. And that means that Morningside Park is included in that. No matter what master plan they have for Morningside, the legislation that deals with a bay walk along Biscayne Bay from the mouth of the river to 87th Street, the end of the city, has to include that area that's inside of it. And if it does, and that's completely germane to the conversation we're having, and tell me how it's not.
Commissioner, I don't have an opinion on that.
It's not an opinion, it's not an opinion.
You asked me
How is
spec-
Morningside Park not between the mouth of the river and 87th Street on Biscayne, east of Biscayne Boulevard? How's that? Geographically, you moved it now?
It is within.
Okay.
Okay, so Commissioner, just for clarification on the record, I mentioned earlier that there were about approximately 10 missing segments on the Baywalk. Looking at the report from CBRE, there are actually approximately 26 mixing connections.
Well, but clarify that, because only
So,
14,
Only 14 is available
is available. The other,
for development or improvement.
yeah, the other 12 are,
The
you
other
can't
12
do
are
anything with
closed?
because they have an existing infrastructure built on it that you can't just come in and modify, like pools and, to high-rise residential buildings, as an example. So there's 14 properties.
There
we're
is
talking about.
14 approximately that is open, that is available.
No, it does not include the river.
No, it doesn't include the
doesn't.
river.
It does not include the
The
river.
river has 58 missing connections, and 25 is available.
Right, so it does not
For the
include the
river.
river at all. You have not done anything for the Miami River. What you're doing is for Biscayne Boulevard.
Yeah, so
Biscayne
it's
Bay.
only 14 available for
The 14, how many feet?
The report doesn't, it only lists the properties themselves, the addresses, so we're making a copy for each elected official to have.
Did you just add it up, how many feet?
We don't have that.
We don't have that information.
We'd have to go back and do some
Additional research.
because the report we have just lists it by property.
I can't second it. If we can't have a say in what the bay walk is gonna look like. If we don't have the ability, or Commissioner Russell doesn't want us to amend what he wants to do, then I cannot second it. So there's no second on it.
Commissioner.
Commissioner Russell,
So Commissioner Diaz-Portillo, here's a proposal. How about we do include the entire River Greenway in this legislation? So that we can, because this legislation does not deal with what goes there, how you build it, what it looks like, what trees, what color, nothing. All this does is give us the framework to negotiate with private property owners along the way. And to consider it part of so that parks can work with them, the administration can work with them. So I am open to including the river 100%, and that will get the river moving faster too if there's missing pieces in the river. I'm happy for that.
But if we go, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, if we go into the notion that we want Morningside, as Commissioner Carollo said, that he wanted Morningside Park included in this conversation within the framework, because expanding it to the Miami River Greenway, that's a different piece of legislation. That's something that I would have to file. Commissioner Carollo may file, because we both, and Commissioner.
Agreed.
He may file because we represent the Miami
I
River.
misunderstood. I
But-
thought that's what you wanted included here.
No, I can't, because it's not germane. But what is germane is what falls into the mouth of the river and 87th Street, and that's Morningside Park. That's what falls in the middle. And if Commissioner Carollo has publicly stated that he wants a seawall there, then I would support a seawall there.
But that's not what he said.
Why not? Why not?
Can I add something, some element of discussion here, Madam Chair, if I may? So two points I'd like to clarify, and I'll let Commissioner Carrillo certainly speak for himself. He never said that I heard that he wanted a seawall. What he says, he does not want to see mangroves anywhere along the
What did you
park
say,
line.
Commissioner Carollo?
His issue was mangroves. Am I correct?
A living shoreline. by definition,
the shoreline.
all kinds of things, that's why it's called a living shoreline. All kinds of things grow on it. That's why it's a living shoreline, not a dead shoreline. So what happens, mangroves grow on it, seedlings spread, all kinds of things happen, and when things grow, they grow and they grow and they block views. So it's a living shoreline.
They can actually grow along a seawall as well, by the way.
Okay, so-
So, I mean, they
Well,
can, but I'm just
It's
trying to
harder
get
when you
to the
pour
root of the
concrete,
problem.
trust me.
Okay, Mr. Manager, so that I have clarity, guys, where are we now? I don't have a second.
It could be you.
It will be me. You've pulled
But you
your.
need a third, that's the problem.
That's the problem. You've pulled yours, second. You're not gonna second it if we can't add,
If we address, Madam Chair,
and then I have to deal with Commissioner Reyes, and I don't want him to think that I don't like him. And I'm just trying to get rid of the first so we can get to your amendment.
if we add a seawall to Morningside Park, I can support this issue.
And I think I heard two here. If we add a seawall, you support and you support. No, you don't support.
Wait a minute.
So in
Okay.
other words, Madam Chair, if you want your third vote, give me the seawall, or give Joe Carollo the seawall, if you want it.
The thing,
And other things that we can discuss later that we're gonna want.
Wait,
to.
wait.
Unrelated issue. And
No, that's not related.
Commissioner Elvis Presley seems to have control of this dais.
No, nobody has
Commissioner
control of this
Russell,
dais.
don't do that.
Nobody has control of this dais.
Commissioner Russell,
The one
don't
that
do
doesn't have
that.
control is you. If you want your little greenway thing,
Okay,
we got a seawall.
Why would I undermine the entire work of the Morningside Civic Association with our administration, with the
Then
Nature
don't, and you don't have
Conservancy?
your votes.
I wouldn't.
Then you don't have your votes.
okay. I'm second SR2. I don't even remember the number. of it.
SR1.
I'm going to be the second for SR1. Now, let's hear from Commissioner Reyes, because he has an amendment. Commissioner Reyes,
listen.
I'm sorry.
I want to, unless I have an opportunity to rebut what Commissioner Russell said, that by passing this legislation, he will be able to finish the seawall. That's totally untrue. And that's totally misinformation. Because by passing this legislation that we have here, S1, does not provide for additional funds, does not provide for the agreement with all those 18 or 16. What it does is that create every single part of that seawall, which is a sidewalk, it is going to be named park. It's going to be part of our park inventory, you see, and has to be included. And even by their own admission, that also is also including some private property that they have not been designated by the owners to build a seawall there. You see, my question is the same, and I said that my amendment is that this portion of the whole portion of this seawall, if declared park, could be used for non-net loss, which I think we shouldn't declare that park, and we should not place that on the Parks Department. It should be placed on the resilience. Yeah, that's where it comes. When it comes to, if we gotta fix it, you shouldn't get money from park impact fees. Which by doing so is taking money from you, from him, from me, and from everybody else that has a park here. You see, your desperation to pass this thing makes me think that is an ulterior motive, sir. You see, because this is something that is not natural. It is unnatural to be so desperate to pass a piece of legislation that does not have no bearing on completing the project or anything. It is just pass it, and then we will include it in as park to replace the not-net loss. That is my opinion, and I have an amendment that will preclude that, and also will preclude that wall, that sidewalk to be repaired using parks impact fees that are so much needed by our parks, that this should go into resilience or into public work.
Let's have the city attorney read your amendment into the record.
So the two amendments, pretty much, because there are two issues that he's proffering, is that the Baywalk Greenway shall not count toward no net loss provisions for parklands in the comprehensive plan, and that park impact fees will not be used for the Baywalk Greenway.
Commissioner Russell?
Thank you. Commissioner Reyes, you're saying if I agree to those two things, you'll vote yes on this ordinance?
If you vote, if you agree on those two, why not? But I want everybody here to be clear of what's going on. I don't want, for example, Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla still is not clear about it. And there is a lot of questions that he has, and I think that should be answered. You see? When either one of us don't have a clear idea of what it is being voted for, I think that they serve the courtesy of giving them time and the information that will help him make up his mind and vote what his conscience dictates. You see, without information, we cannot do that. And he's been asking for information, and I think rightfully so. You see?
So, if the mover and seconder agree to your amendment, you'll vote yes today?
Yes.
Agreed. Deal.
Okay.
Let's vote.
Okay, I vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes.
With those four amendments, right? 'Cause there were-
So, just a moment, there was two amendments that the city attorney read,
Right, and then
and then
there
there's the
were,
mangroves.
there was no mangroves.
You're not accepting that.
You're not accepting the no mangroves on the
Oh,
Baywalk?
wait. You're not accepting the no mangroves?
Well, he withdrew his second, so there's no amendment.
Well, he made an amendment.
This ordinance has nothing to do with mangroves. We have a design guideline for the Baywalk that we can amend
¿Tú ves lo que te digo?
to eliminate. So if you'd like another amendment,
You're going to get mangroves at the end.
this has nothing to do with
You
Morningside
see? Oh,
Park.
Well,
I'd reconsider my vote then. If it is like that, I thought that everybody here was going to
We
be
just
happy.
want to clarify the amendment.
No.
Okay, we need to bring an amendment to the Baywalk guidelines, the design guidelines, because they do have living shorelines, mangroves, et cetera in them. But this ordinance has nothing to do with mangroves and what gets planted. This simply has to do with a greenway.
Well, then how come you were willing to put no mangroves before if it had nothing to do with it?
To get your vote.
Oh, you were pulling a Yamamoto on me.
No, because it would
Okay.
actually hold. If you want it, it'll hold.
Okay.
But clearly,
To get my vote, all right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't intend to, we were already not going to plant mangroves in Morningside Park. The master plan does not have any mangroves. He's
No, you were going to
misleading.
let them come naturally,
No, we
with
don't
the
want
courage so
them.
they could
The
grow.
neighborhood does not want them. I don't want them.
okay.
let me-
Wait, hold on a second. Where are we now?
We voted.
We had a vote. It passed 3-2.
I'm reconsidering my vote.
Maybe reconsider.
Because
Okay, hold on
would
a
you like?
second. Hold on. You know I'm new at
I'll
this.
second that reconsideration.
Hold on. Mr. City Clerk, procedurally, where are we? Can Commissioner Reyes reconsider his vote?
It's really the will of the body. Yes, you did vote, but I was trying to clarify at the same time before we completed the vote what the amendments were. So if you would like to reconsider, we can
Well,
certainly do that from a
No, I was
procedural
clear on
standpoint.
Commissioner Reyes thought he was voting on something else. I'd like to hear if his amendment is something different. Because if you would like to include mangroves in your amendment for your vote, I will consider it. I think it's superfluous, it's not necessary. It's not necessary, it has nothing to do with this, but
Well,
if it's what you want and it makes you happy,
Well-
I will give you no mangroves.
Okay, I'm also was considering what Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla and what
Then I think we're done, because you had, what we had here was a very big win for the no net loss concerns that you have, and that's a very big concession on my side. I'm willing to do that with you for your vote today,
Okay, but the thing is,
You want to add more and more and then take?
no,
the-
add more and more, no. I have my colleagues here that they were very much
Reconsider it.
in favor, as I was, that the seawall be on the shoreline.
Oh.
And we are, I mean, I do agree with it. I do agree with it, and that's what Diaz de la Portilla agreed on it, and that's what, I mean, because I saw it. If the seawall is on the shoreline, you have all that burn that you can build that
Commissioner
will make
Reyes,
it.
Commissioner Reyes, okay, so.
I thought that we were voting on all
Okay,
of that.
Commissioner
So-
Reyes,
so that-
I asked for a different item to be brought back regarding the Morningside Master Plan to deal with exactly that.
So here we go, guys.
Because I will not accept an amendment
Okay.
today, putting a seawall at the shoreline after all of the process we've gone through has eliminated a seawall in that plan. We don't want a seawall.
Here we go, understood. So, here, may I have a motion for reconsideration?
I move
With-
to reconsider.
A second.
Okay, now we have a motion and a second for reconsideration. So now we're going to reconsider this issue again,
To vote on it.
to vote on it.
Now, to vote on the reconsideration first.
Okay, oh, we have to vote, okay,
On the
all in favor of reconsideration?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Okay.
Now, we are going to,
Everything's back in play.
Everything's
So
back in
Make
play.
your amendments so we can capture everything before the vote is taken.
okay, so let's go, Commissioner, Vice Chair.
One minor little thing that I've been wondering throughout this whole conversation. Mr. Manager, sorry to bother you and your esteemed assistant managers.
Never bother.
Where's the money coming for all this addition that we've been talking about here in the Baywalk?
What's the Conservancy? Oh, the month for the actual Baywalk itself?
Yeah, well,
No, not Morningside.
everything being discussed here, where's the money coming from? You mean after all this talk, you guys don't know where the money's coming from?
And how much is it?
Oh,
Well, I know there's at least 5 million that's out there.
Yeah, there's 5 million is out there, correct, as part of the
Okay.
Miami Freedom Park deal, but there isn't another identified funding source.
Okay, but here's the problem that I have. When that 5 million was brought up, I remember before we made the initial vote on this, I remember Mr. Russell saying that, I have a big part in the Miami River in my district, that, that's going to be for everybody. And now I'm seeing that the 5 million is going to be going all in his district.
Doesn't mean that.
Now, if that's the case, it's fine. But then the other 20 million needs to be broken down in,
4 districts. 4 districts.
well, at least 3
At least
districts.
3,
I don't know.
I was waiting for you to say that, not me.
But
You know
it
what
could
I
be
mean.
4 districts.
You know what I mean?
But he got his money already.
Yeah, right.
Try to pull a fast one, huh? I'm not one of those little kids watching the yo-yo.
What is the will of this body?
You stepped out, you're out.
What is the will of the body today?
There's a debate. I have a question for you, Madam Chair.
Go right ahead.
Listen, let's be open, because people watch this, and let's just be open. If it's in fact his drive, Commissioner Russell's drive, is to affect no net loss, and if he wants to do things for his district, that's all fine. Let's be honest about it. Let's be open about it, and then everybody can vote the way they want to vote, based on what they think. I happen to think with some significant tweaks that, probably tweaks is the wrong word, some significant changes, that the Miami Freedom Park is a good idea for Miami. It's in the district I represent, and I think it's good for the district I represent. So, let's just be open about what we're doing here. And this back and forth, to me, is why people are cynical about politics, because it's back and forth, number one. And number two, and it's underhanded. And it's, if I don't do this, I won't do that. And that's wrong. that undermines the confidence that people have in our system. Let's just be open about it.
Yeah, but
And I'm almost done. If you want this to come today, and you want to get your druthers and whatever you want, and get what you want before something else happens, that's not going to happen. Because everybody here wants something for their districts. So instead of just being open about it, say, you know what, this is what I want for my district, I represent them, everybody wants something. I think, maybe I'm wrong, that because it's in the district I represent, that the majority of the money that's invested in community benefits should be in the district I represent, in Grapeland, right? Not in Baywalk, not in Edgewater. That's so far away, you can't get, if you go anymore, you sink. It should be the area that's being directly impacted. So Grapeland and that area surrounding Miami Freedom Park should benefit the most. But you think it's a good idea for you to ask for $5 million for Baywalk that you represented as Riverwalk, Baywalk, because Riverwalk also includes Commissioner Carollo's district, that it's going to probably, a little bit here, a little bit there. That's not what you're doing. What you're doing is you're taking $5 million, which is not the total cost. That's $5 million from the people that want to develop Miami Freedom Park. That's what you're doing. And then they cannot give us an answer as to how much it's going to cost to do this legacy thing that you label a legacy issue last commission meeting. So $5 million for you and for your district, not for you, for your district. You're fighting for your district. Respect the fact that we're fighting for ours. That's all.
Anything wrong with that?
Madam
Chair, I need to respond, though.
Hold on.
The problem is,
respond.
I'm almost done. The
Madam
problem is,
Chair, I need to respond.
the problem is that you need to have 3 votes, and you don't. Because you're taking it off for yourself. And politics is about giving and taking. It's not about taking. That's the issue here.
Hold on a second.
Oh,
And
hold
you're
on,
hiding
hold
it.
on.
And you're hiding it behind, it's for Baywalk, Riverwalk. It's not Riverwalk. You're not covering 1 foot of Riverwalk. You're covering the most expensive real estate in Miami in front of the water for your district.
Okay,
And that's wrong.
okay.
Okay,
Wait,
please.
hold on, Commissioner, hold on. Commissioner Reyes, hold on. I promise I'm going to get to you. Commissioner Russell would like to respond quickly. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Let him respond because you would want to respond to what was just
I
said.
want to make a proposal.
Okay,
That's
that's
what-
going to be
Just
great,
a
but he
moment.
just
That's
wants
it.
to.
I want to make a proposal.
He just
and
wants
that's
to,
it.
let him respond. Let him
Okay,
respond.
I want him to make a motion.
2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2
Thank
minutes,
you.
Commissioner
I
Russell.
appreciate the time. I do not appreciate attacks on my character or being called underhanded. You're going to call me underhanded? That implies that I'm lying to this dais, that I lied when we voted earlier. And that's not right. Now, to say that we all fight for our districts, we do and we should. The fact that I'm trying to get things done in my district, I should. But what you're asking from me is not something for the rest of the city, it's to undermine another project in my district against the will of the residents that we've already voted on. And I can't do that. My character says we've voted on that, so I won't give a seawall where it was. So what do you want to know that you don't feel I'm being straight about? Because the $5 million can be spent anywhere on the Baywalk and the Riverwalk. That was in that deal. That's done. Now, what I'm working on through this legislation is simply so that we can work on the Baywalk, right? And connect. But that $5 million is not restricted. That was part of what got Joe's vote on that $5 million, was that it could be used in the river as well. There's nothing underhanded going on here at all. But I am absolutely unhappy with where Freedom Park is on its no net loss policy right now. Please, I have not said that before, but I'm saying it right now.
He's
And
got
I'm
48
trying
seconds.
everything I can to create new, active, and open space in our city before I leave. And this is the biggest thing that I can leave behind. To be willing to give up the no net loss policy is huge.
Make the motion.
And you had it.
Make the motion. Make the motion. I want you to make the motion as you did before, and also what I want you to do what a proposal also to bring the Morningside Park, bring it again so we could argue. Make the motion.
But then we don't need to reconsider.
Make the motion. Like,
It was already considered.
make the motion to pass this, and with the amendment that it's not going to be used for non-net loss, and it's not going to use the my amendment, the amendment that.
All right, I'd like to move SR1,
Okay.
including the 2 amendments brought earlier by Commissioner Reyes regarding no net loss and impact fees.
Impact fees. I
Would you like mangroves included in your?
And mangroves included.
Yes, and no
I
mangroves.
second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 That's it.
For the
Motion
record,
passes.
motion passes 3-2 with Commissioner Correa and Commissioner Diaz-Larratia voting no, as
Right.
amended.
Right, and I wanted to clarify, nothing addressing Morningside, correct? It's no mangroves everywhere along the Baywalk, correct?
Including Morningside. Including Morningside, that's what the motion
It's
said.
part of the Baywalk. so yes.
Okay, fine.
I mean, we weren't talking about any other site as much as we did Morningside.
We have,
But I'm glad at least that I, got the quail out of the bushes here. And it was clear that we didn't have any money whatsoever for any of this, except the $5 million that I remember very distinctly. And if you could, Mr. Clerk, you should have minutes of that meeting way back then when we approved to go to a referendum, the Freedom Park item. Let's go over that and see what said Mr. Russell then about the $5 million in the Baywalk in downtown Miami and connected with the river and everything, and what he says now. But, if you're going to get so huffy and puffy, you being questioned and challenged. By the way, I just got a quick question for you. Have you found a place to rent that you could have more than one toilet? You can't answer that one, can you?
we have one item left, it's DI 4.
Yes.
He was not,
Thank
he was not happy with you right now. You saw that?
No, because he can't answer it. He knows what's going on.
He's
He
got-
can't answer it.
He has a new bathroom, right?
Well, I can't offer him a good deal on my property in the Grove anymore because it's no longer in his district. But, some people were saying that he wanted to move into Bay Heights. That's why he didn't want Bay Heights included, and that's why DeGrande had to move it over. I don't know.
Commissioner?
But I will say this, that I don't appreciate, but they're wasting their time in trying to come at me from the rear again on this whole redistricting. Boy, are they off completely on D4. Colleagues, I'm not going to get into the rights or wrong or things that we cannot control as to what is going on in our southern border. That's the federal government's prerogative, and the state of Texas, to some degree, can exercise their laws and will there. But what I want to bring before you today is that in the last year or so, we have had 2 million people, more or less, it's an estimate, could be more, that have come through the southern border from 158 countries. We have no idea who's coming. And the problem that I'm having is that as I walk through Little Havana, different parts of our city, I'm finding more and more and more people on a weekly basis that have recently come from Texas, that they had just crossed our southern border. This is having a tremendous impact in our city. Not to mention that we have a crisis. Even the mayor of Dade County has declared it in housing here, in affordable housing. Secondly, all the different service that they're going to require, including schooling for kids, but for the most part, what I'm seeing are single males that are coming. Now, besides the service that I just mentioned, you got additional police services, fire, medics, so on and so forth. This is going to have a tremendous impact financially in the city of Miami. And this is something that we have not created. It's not anything that we could do about it, but we're going to have to pay for it. And I don't think anyone can deny that we are one of the major gateway cities that many of the people that are crossing the border are going to end up coming to. The governor of Texas sent a busload to Washington, D.C., but they said they volunteered to go. The minute they got off, you had 6 Venezuelan nationals that said they wanted to come to Miami. Believe it or not, just in the last 2 months, almost 10,000 Ukrainians have crossed over. These are not Central Americans. These are not Mexicans. These are Ukrainians. The whole world has heard that we don't have a border anymore, that you just pay the coyotes and you get through, and that's fine. You're home free. So I'm asking this body to approve a resolution to President Biden, to our 2 U.S. senators, and our congressional delegation here, to provide the city of Miami with funding to be able to provide for the thousands of people that are coming into our community as a whole because of Washington's decisions. This has nothing to do, again, with anything else in that border. Just that we're being affected tremendously and are going to be affected even more so by this crisis, and Washington needs to step up and pay for it. We're not going to be able to do it on our own, not in the scope that is coming and from what is expected is going to be coming in the next month and a half or so. Anybody wants to put in their 2 cents, or we just want to vote for it?
Well, he's asking us to have the city send a letter urging them to take action against what's happening.
Well, no, urging Washington to help us pay
financially
to send
support.
us money to help us pay for the thousands of people that are coming into our community that we by ourselves cannot care for.
What's the language of the resolution?
The language is a nonpartisan tone. It's a request to the president and the administration, with copies sent to our 2 U.S. senators and our congressional delegation, that Miami needs financial help to address a crisis that we have nothing to do with, into the thousands of people that have crossed the southern border and have come into a community that need housing in a city and county that the county mayor has declared that it has a housing crisis, which it does, in a community that our services are tapped out, so that we can provide assistance to all these new people that are coming. based on Washington's policies.
I second that, and Madam Chair, through the chair,
Yes.
I want to add, and I was talking to Jose right now, I had information from a person that works in, I think, in human services, that thousands and thousands of Cubans had come through the agency. And he said, I don't want to misquote, but she said, for what I understood, about 10,000 was only last month.
Well, the last 5 months, Commissioner,
It surpasses the Balsero,
well, it's 47,000 that
That's
they
right.
think,
they think. That's right.
because there are many that have gotten through and no one's counted.
Yeah.
In Florida?
No,
Yeah.
through the southern
Oh, the southern
district.
border, okay.
Southern border. But you know that the vast majority of those are going to end up in Miami.
Of course.
I'm talking about those
Just
10,000.
Cubans alone.
They were processed here. According to what, 10,000 last month were processed here in Miami. Some of them are going to Las Vegas or to Tampa, but the rest will remain here. That is the demand for housing and demand for services, Commissioner Carollo.
Yes. So,
So we need assistance.
okay, I agree. Let me open it for public comment because this is a new item. Anyone here wishing to speak on this issue? Seeing none, public comment period is closed. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And that will conclude the City of Miami Commission meeting for April 14th.
Thank you.
2022. Thank you, everyone. And everyone have a good Friday.
Thank you.
Be
Mr.
safe.
Mr. Clerk,
And happy Easter.
what is the deadline again? Someone that's running for federal office, they have to resign?
June 3rd, sir.
June 3rd, okay, thank you.